Carl Froch is a warrior. We all know that. We all know this man has got a granite chin and the heart of a lion. Right? He's been in there with all the best, pretty much all the best super middleweights in the world. And, you know, so far he's done everything that's been expected of him. Obviously, he hasn't won all his fights, but, you know, he's taken on the best competition available up until now at least. And, or up until very recently, he's been taking on the best competition available. And he gives his all in the ring. He never freezes. He's, you know what I mean? He always keeps it 100%. But is Carl Froch ducking Adonis Stevenson? You know, all fighters throughout history, or not all fighters, but most fighters, even a lot of great fighters, was accused at one stage or another of ducking certain opponents. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard, as great as he was, for me, in the top 2 fighters of the last 30 years, Sugar Ray Leonard, as great as he was, most people agree that he ducked Aaron Pryor for whatever reason. He didn't want to fight Aaron Pryor. All right? So, most fighters out there, even great fighters, get accused of this now and then. Is Carl Froch ducking Adonis Stevenson? Now, when Adonis Stevenson was back down at super middleweight, he was the mandatory for Froch's IBF title. Carl Froch just ignored Adonis Stevenson. And when he was asked about Stevenson, he said, Stevenson will just get knocked out, you know, blah, blah, blah. There's no point really making the fight, you know, something like that. He just brushed it off, basically. And at the time, I was like, okay, well, fair enough. Stevenson really hasn't fought anyone. No one knows him. He is the mandatory, so he does deserve the title shot because the IBF, the organization which Carl Froch was a champion for, recognized him as the #1 contender, so he deserves a shot. He's up there in the rankings, so why not? You know, but I can understand where Carl Froch was coming from at that particular time. But since then, obviously Stevenson moved up to light heavyweight, knocked out Chad Dawson in shocking fashion, and now he's a big name in the game. And he immediately after the fight with Dawson, he called out Carl Froch. But there wasn't a peep from Carl Froch or Eddie Hearn. Neither of them responded. Neither of them has said anything about fighting Adonis Stevenson. Now, Adonis Stevenson is willing to come to the UK for the fight and drop back down to super middleweight for the fight, all right? So he's giving Carl Froch the fight on a silver platter exactly how he wants it. On top of all that, Adonis Stevenson does bring good viewing figures. All right, Adonis Stevenson is a big fish in a small pond in Canada. They ain't got many top fighters in Canada. All right, so the fighters that they do have, they really come out to support them. You see the kind of support that David Lemieux gets, and who the hell is he? You get what I'm saying? I ain't dissing him or anything like that, but what has he achieved in boxing? But he's got this huge following in Canada, because they ain't got that many big fighters up there. And Stevenson's the same thing. He packed out the arena to fight Chad Dawson. And my post-fight video for Stevenson Dawson got more views than any video I've posted for months and months. And when I went into the analytics of that video and checked where most of the views were coming from, 70% of those views were from Canada. All right, so Stevenson definitely has a fan base. He's definitely a big draw. People literally love this guy in Canada. All right, he gets a lot of views and a lot of, people watching him from Canada. So, you know what I mean? And he'll have even more fans now after he's knocked out Chad Dawson from around the world, especially I would guess in North America. So, you know what I mean? Like from a fan base point of view, there's no reason not to fight Adonis Stevenson. Yeah, he's going to bring in a lot of money. And the funny thing is after Gennady Golovkin's last fight against Matthew Macklin, Eddie Hearn came straight out 1 or 2 days after the fight and said, we'd be interested in making a Carl Froch versus Golovkin fight. So he didn't say nothing after Stevenson knocked out Dawson. And Dawson's a hell of a lot better fighter than Matthew Macklin. He didn't say nothing then. But as soon as Golovkin, beats Matthew Macklin, we're interested in taking on Golovkin. You know what I mean? So I ain't here trying to diss Froch or nothing like that. He's definitely a warrior. But personally, I don't know. I think him and his team are a bit wary of Adonis Stevenson. And it is true that Stevenson has also been ordered by the WBC to take on Tony Bellew. Right? That is true. And that's a separate video. I'll definitely do a video about that. But even before that had happened, Carl Froch didn't say nothing. And imagine, and remember, he was ordered to fight, Stevenson was ordered to fight Bellew fairly recently. There was some weeks that had passed before that happened. And the Froch camp was silent about Stevenson calling him out. Absolutely stone cold silent. So I really wonder, man. I wonder how confident Carl Froch really is of beating Adonis Stevenson. I wonder, man. Like I say, I know the guy's a warrior, but look at the things Froch says himself. Froch says he'll never move up to 175 pounds. He's a warrior, but he knows his limitations. Yeah? He knows his limitations. Don't get it confused, people. He knows his limitations. And maybe one of his limitations he feels could be Adonis Stevenson. Yeah? It's interesting. It's interesting to me. Especially, like I said, he's happy to fight Golovkin, who's a smaller guy coming up. Alright? Stevenson really is just a super middleweight himself. He moved up to light heavyweight only in his last fight. Right? So he's not really a bigger guy. So what's up, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, get the Stevenson fight on. I don't see the problem with it. You know what I mean? But like I say, Stevenson may now be fighting Tony Bellew anyway. So that could be out the window. But it's just a thought. It's just something which has been in the back of my mind. Because me personally, I've noticed the talent that Stevenson has for quite a long time. Yeah. I've been keeping my eye on Stevenson. And you know, I always keep an eye on Manny Stewart prodigies. And the power that he's had, the power that I've recognized him having for a long time is scary. Do you know what I'm saying? He has very long arms. He can deliver that power from long range. He's a very dangerous fighter. Very, very dangerous fighter. And, you know, people always bring up this Darnell Boone thing. It's like it will never go away. It's like the fact that he didn't, you know, it's as if he didn't avenge the loss to Darnell Boone, which he did. You know, this Darnell Boone thing will never go away. But look, Darnell Boone nearly knocked out Andre Ward, and Andre Ward destroyed Froch. So it is what it is. You get what I'm saying? So just because Darnell Boone managed to beat Stevenson in the first fight, it don't mean that Stevenson can't beat Froch. I'd like to see the fight. Let's get it on. You know what I mean? But is Froch ducking him? Does Froch really want it? What would Steve? I know there's a lot of Carl Froch fans out there. So let me ask this question directly to the Froch fans. What would Stevenson have to do, in your eyes, to make himself an attractive opponent for Carl Froch to face, or a worthy opponent, or an attractive opponent? What would Stevenson have to do in your eyes in order to get into that position? You let me know. Me personally, I don't know if Froch is ducking Stevenson, but I suspect he might be. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. I'm just here speculating based on what I'm seeing, but I suspect he might be. Let me know how you feel about this. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And like I said, I will be doing a video about Adonis Stevenson versus Tony Bellew, because that's also a very interesting fight. So yeah, leave your comments in the comment section below. Yeah, this is Hatman. I'm out.